I've known Randy since he was in grade 10 and I was in grade 11.
We had a basketball tournament in Calgary, which was about 300 miles away in the middle of the winter in northern Canada, so we put the roof down and drove to Calgary.
I hadn't seen Randy for quite a few years, probably 10 years since I'd actually seen him.
And I said, you know, I think you need a media guy. He said, I think you're right. And so now we've been together again, full circle, you know, 5 years we've been together now. Wilf and I have done a lot of crazy things together, and so when it comes to doing a business like this together, it just sort of seemed to fit our MO of how we do things.
And I know I can trust Randy. And it's greater to be trusted than to be loved. But I also love him. Today, as we drive up and down the road in the United States, if you got something, it came by truck. When this country started, if you got something, it came by ship. What created America as it is were the ships that came here from France and Spain and England and all over the world. I never really counseled with my wife about this. If I had, I probably wouldn't be doing it. She's one of those ladies who really, really, really likes to know there's a paycheck coming. And this isn't one of those businesses where there's going to be a paycheck coming every month. Sometimes we go months without income.
Investing in our company is almost like a lottery ticket. We have a lot of risk in our company financially, but the potential for reward is not only substantial, but it could be exponentially so. We find a lot of these treasures, we find a lot of the coins, but we're still looking for what people call the mother lode.
When we find a shipwreck, we find sand, rocks, and coral. And we'll get magnetometer readings, we start excavating that sand, and pretty soon we start finding the artifacts and the stuff underneath it.
And there are people who have gone in and have abused the countries that they're in to absolutely ravage a wreck site just to find the treasures. We of course approach it from a totally different standpoint. We have an archaeologist on board and we look at it as an archaeological recovery. There are people who look at what we do and say, oh, you should leave that stuff for posterity. Who's going to see it? What posterity? More people have seen these artifacts now because we brought them up than anybody would have ever imagined. And if we leave this stuff lay in the bottom of the ocean long enough, there'll be nothing left. Nature just reclaims everything. We've lived in Utah now for 24 years. My 22-year-old daughters were born here. My oldest daughter was born in Canada, but this is the only place she ever went to school. And then we got the nod to go to the Dominican Republic. We've been there ever since. And the first ship we brought in was a ship from the Revolutionary War. Not of the Dominican Republic, but of America. She fought in the Virginia Capes. She fought in Pensacola. She also fought in the Battle of the Saints and fought in the Mona Passage Battle. That particular ship, Le Scipion, sank October 18, 1782. And when we finished it, the Dominican government offered us our own contract, which we took. And so when we got that contract in, we worked out on the North Shore. And that's where we're working now. We've surveyed maybe 10 miles of that. And we've already found 17 shipwrecks. Treasure means different things to different people. When you are working on this shipwreck, and we found on the Scipion that Wilf was talking about, probably one of the first mechanical pencils ever made. And to me, that is a treasure. They always told us that this shipwreck was a German shipwreck, except for one problem. This button, when you see a really good one, is an American Army button. This is not a German button. So now you look at it and say, okay, how can an American Army button be on this shipwreck? And that's the goal of this. It's not to just go out and pull a bunch of cool stuff out of the bottom of the ocean. It's to discover the history of it. We have 14 full-time people in the Dominican Republic that work in the diving side of it. We have 3 full-time people that work in the museum side. Right after we got down to the Dominican Republic, we decided, you know what, we want to build a museum here for the people because this is their heritage as well. And about a year and a half ago, we started construction in the town of Samana. The museum is currently staffed totally by Dominicans. We provide a living for those families, and we're committed to being there. It also shows the people that we are the company that came down there and gave back. So our overhead right now is about $80,000 a month to run the entire company. And that's not too bad. There's other companies out there doing what we do who spend that much a day. There's one wreck site that we're on right now. I dove it, Randy and I dove it with my daughter Carrie. And we found 17 cannons there, up in the shore break. That's just astounding. 17 cannons, 250 cannonballs, all laying there, French made in the early 1700s.
Any guy who's been in business who will really tell you the truth will always say it took him longer than he wanted it to. And that's certainly the case here. In the world, there might be 10 people who know how to do this business. It's not just finding the shipwrecks. It's having the right equipment. It's having the right people. Then once you get the shipwreck, it's getting the artifacts in and then preserving them. We are probably yet 2 years away from being in a positive cash flow. And yet we're pulling up gold and silver almost every day.
When you dive, you uncover an artifact. Maybe it's a coin, maybe it's a comb, maybe it's a pistol, whatever. That belonged to somebody, and that person had a life. To me, it's a story that just has to be found out and spread.
I would like to build one major museum here in Utah. I would like to build at least one, maybe 2 traveling exhibits. 9 out of 10 people who see us do what we do and see the stuff that we do say, you are living my dreams. And it is very exciting. It's a very romantic business. But this business is not for the faint of heart.
Wilf and I both have a goal of turning this over at some time, maybe to our children, or certainly to the next generation. And it's our goal to turn over a very viable, effective business consisting of museums and of history.
The ocean's a funny thing. She's a pretty hard taskmaster. She'll give it to you, and if you don't respect it, and if you don't take the gift it gives you, it'll take it back.
That's the story that we want to leave with people, that years from now, that everything that we brought up was a treasure because of the story that it tells.